Welcome back to another episode of In Between the Sticks. I'm your host, Drew, joined as always by my co hosts, Austin and Kale. Today, we're mainly going to be focusing on going over the preseason game that just happened over the past weekend with the Titans and the 49ers, where the Titans did, in fact, win that game 17-13. Overall, we're going to give our total thoughts, what we liked, maybe what we didn't like, if we're going to get into that. Also, breaking down some film stuff on a couple of plays that we wanted to bring up and look at, as well as adding in a new segment this week of Keeper Cut. So we're been very excited and looking into that. And then also at the end of it, we're going to round out talking about the joint practice that's happening later this week with the Seahawks and seeing what we're going to be ready to get into. So I'll start us off. To me, the MVP performance to me for this game, Bill Callahan. To me, I mean, build him a statue. They had one sack the whole game. But if you go and you watch Tic Tac Titans,
W.
hate them, love them, you still watch them, right?
Love that guy.
You go and watch. He just did a film breakdown with the offensive line in that first drive, and he points out a lot of different kind of schemes and stunts and everything that we were making with our offensive linemen. And it's stuff we haven't seen, boys, since we had Taylor Lewan, Saffold, Ben Jones. Like we're pulling, we're trapping, we're doing double teams, getting up into the secondary. Like, and honestly, there's maybe two plays that whole game where we got hit behind the line of scrimmage on our run plays, maybe two that I can remember as a first team. I'm not counting, second string, third string, but for me, I would say Bill Callahan for sure. I think the offensive line looks a lot better than it did a year ago, and also our special teams. Shout out special teams. Obviously, new kickoff. We had, as to this date, we have the longest return in dynamic kickoff history this year with a 63-yarder. And then also our punt return that we had with Jaquan Jackson as well. A lot of good stuff coming from there. You'll see when we look at it. That should have been a touchdown. But nonetheless, had some great returns. And honestly, even on the defensive side of special teams as well, we covered really well, I thought, on the kickoff and our punts. But for me, that's going to be mine. I want to see what y'all's are.
I mean, for me personally, I want to give a shout out. I'll stick to players, but I'm gonna give it to a whole room of players, right? Not just one specific player. I'm gonna say the linebacker room. Like, big props to that linebacker room. I thought Kenneth Murray looked pretty solid, except for a couple plays here and there when he was in the game. Chance Campbell had a career day. He's finally healthy.
MVP.
And, MVP of the game, basically. He played phenomenal. Jack Gibbons got in there for a little bit. Otis Reese got in on a couple run plays and, got a couple tackles for losses. And overall, James Williams also played really good. Cedric Gray didn't play, but we know he's going to be good. So overall, the linebacker room I thought was phenomenal. The whole game, they were in the backfield. They were, shooting gaps on blitzes and getting back there and making plays and putting pressure on the quarterback, which was phenomenal. But the one thing for me too, outside of just the linebacker room, something that I noticed was just the speed on the team.
Yep.
Right. This is the first time, outside of, post Mike Vrabel era, it feels like we got some speed on the team. I feel like we had some guys out there that were moving. We're not just a gritty smash mouth football team. We're hey, we're going to run around you too. We're going to run all over the field. And we got 4.2 track speed, basically at multiple positions. And that was my big takeaway.
Yeah, I like what you said there too. And it's interesting because if you go back and think about Vrabel's teams and what Vrabel always said, even over certain off seasons, he always said he wanted to add more speed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like,
I never did.
We maybe tried at some point, but we just didn't ever end up with it. So people always knew us to be that, they said, exotic smash mouth. Yeah, we're going to give the ball to Derrick Henry 25 times, which when he was going and our line was good, okay, great. But just to see that we can still run the ball, and that's when I'll kind of get into my instant reaction. And what I love to see was, number one, we ran the ball pretty well. We ran it well from, Tajay didn't get a lot of looks. I think they had certain plays that Callahan had kind of scripted for them. Didn't want them to get a ton of touches just to get out there and feel the flow of the game. But, of course, he did score on the one cutback at the end zone. I thought Pollard looked really, really good. I'm not surprised by it, but it was just nice to see. Really good in space, but also had some good runs. There was one that was in between the tackle, but you can hardly even say that because the gap was so big on NPF's side that bro didn't get touched until 20 yards down the field.
That
which
that
was
run that you're
great to
talking
see.
about was
And
one that
Devin
we
Ravens.
pulled.
We did.
No, it wasn't even right. I'm pretty sure it was Kush and Skoronski.
Yeah, well,
I could be mistaken though, but we pulled 2 people, and
yes,
and luckily, because their linebackers were really aggressive during that game on our runs. They crashed downhill
were.
really fast, and so we ran that play earlier in the game with Tajay, but we got busted behind the line of scrimmage for a loss, and so we came back to it and we adjusted, and that's what they did the same thing because we ran that kind of concept so many times during the game where they recognized it when we pulled, so they jumped the gun and basically they created the hole for themselves, basically.
Yeah. And I think that's my first point because and two, that was NPF. I think got a hold of a couple different guys on that play. So really good to see us being confident in running behind the right side of our first team O line. That was good to see, and I think it builds confidence for them too moving forward. So the run game was, that's what I kind of wanted to hit on first because it's like, look, we lost Derrick Henry, and everybody loved him when he was here, love him now or hate him now that he's on the Ravens. I can't say that. I'm just too big of a fan and what he's done for us. But like it's gonna be different, but it's not gonna be unsuccessful. Like we saw it last night. It looks like we're still gonna be able to run the ball. So people don't have to get their panties in a wad over that. But second thing I'll say is I just think the offensive operation as a whole, more specifically Will Levis, was my second thing that I was like really impressed with. And people are going to say, well, that's kind of weird because Levis only threw it 5 times. I didn't really need to see him throw it that many times. I mean, just seeing him operate the pocket, which he had a pretty decent pocket on every play. I mean, he really didn't even get touched until he ran to go to the end zone.
The closest they got to sacking him was we could watch it on the first drive here in a second. Was when JC kind of like second guessed on who he was taking, but still blocked him good enough. But the guy almost drove JC into him, and that's the only time he got close to getting touched.
I was going to mention that one. I think that might have been the same one that Ridley gets that catch.
No.
He got bull rushed. But the thing about it, I was listening to the radio this morning on 104.5, and they were talking about how on that play he gets bull rushed. But he got bull rushed and stood his ground. I mean, he didn't get run over.
He anchored in.
He did. He anchored in. He kept his hands on he got his hands on him quick, so he's going backwards, but Levis got a throw off, and we ended up getting a completion.
There's a play that we'll watch on that first drive when I pull it up. There is a play where, like, we said it in the, after we took him in our draft episode, recapping the draft. If you allow him to get both of his hands on you, securely, and he has a good grip, it's over for you. And that's what happened on one of them. The guy was trying to speed rush him. He got his outside hand on that shoulder pad, and he literally threw him to the ground. There
was a couple of plays that are interesting that we might see here in a second, but also like the bull rush to me was probably one of his worst reps, just because it seemed like he kind of lost ground just immediately. But I say that, but there's that positive to it where he anchored in, still got his hands on him, and didn't let Levis get sacked. But I will say a lot of times you weren't seeing him getting beat inside, outside with speed. People didn't beat him going under. Like he did a good job holding his ground in first actual game reps. I mean, he's coming from Alabama. Like I'm not expecting anything less, to be honest with you, and he's just going to get better. Plus, I will say he graded himself as like a C after the game.
Yep.
He wasn't happy. So now there's an extent to where it's like, okay, let's not overdo everything and overwork yourself and all this. But I do like the accountability that he's already taking in that leadership role. So, but just to finish my points, the people that I will say is Levis, the running backs, Ridley, and then I will say Burks. I liked what I saw from Burks, even though we didn't see a ton from Ridley or Burks. Just seeing that, it's like, okay, yeah, there's going to be some emphasis on these guys can make explosive plays when we get them the ball in space, including the running backs. So I'm more focused on the offensive side of the ball. I did like what I saw from the defense a little bit, but I want to put up points this year. We've been the team that, like, for the last few years hasn't had the greatest defense, but they've kind of kept us in it, but we just can't put points up. And it looks like that's going to be able to change this year. So it's really exciting. And with that, I guess we can get into some of these plays, but I think overall it was a great first kind of impression of what we might see this year. So
I'll add something real quick while we're talking about the offensive line too. Is like, it wasn't just the first string that like played really good, right? I mean, the second string too came in and played solid. And I know people are saying, oh, it's the preseason. They didn't have Nick Bosa out there. They didn't have whatever all pros they got on their defensive line unit because this is the 49ers. The fact of the matter is, is they might have been playing their second string, but their second string sometimes is better than some other team's first strings in other situations.
That's true,
and
but
spots,
we're
right?
also playing dang near a whole new group that
Yeah, that's
haven't
what I'm
really
saying.
played with each other on
I would
on
rather-
more than just the first string. So
They needed look, the offensive line I thought looked out that first drive was a little shaky. I think they needed a little bit of time to
Mhm.
adjust to each other.
mhm.
After that first drive, it felt like they really locked in and they kind of just had their way. And they needed that boost of confidence. They needed that that chemistry between the whole unit as a whole
Mhm.
because here up until about a week ago, Dylan Radins wasn't the starter, and now here he
Yeah.
is taking first team reps at right guard. NPF just came back not even a week ago, and here he is taking first team reps at right tackle. I mean, we just basically threw them out there first time, basically all training camp, all
Yeah.
off season to play as a whole. They needed a game like that to just kind of have their way. And I think that's why they played the whole first quarter. As Callahan wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that they got the reps.
And that's where I said last episode, I felt like coming into it, I said, I want them to have the mindset of, okay, you're going to go out there and play, even if it was coming in, okay, y'all are going to go out there and have a drive,
Mhm.
right? I don't want that to go out there and have three handoffs or whatever, and then call it quits or whatever. Like I wanted them to come out. If they had a first drive, it wasn't the greatest drive. Make them come back out and have another one. Specifically talking about the offensive line, I mean, but yeah, like you said, I think they did great. They had good reps. Like we'll get on to here and later on our episode near the end, it's probably going to be a little different this next game, just because of the joint practice. But also, I think Kale, on your point, Levis, he just looked a lot more comfortable to me this game than he did any point of last year.
Comfortable, and the second word I'd say is confident. And before we get into the plays, I wanted to ask you about it. Well, just to piggyback off that last statement, confident in that he's working hard, but he's not working for a job spot.
Mhm.
Like he came in knowing he's the guy, and him and Callahan have created this bond, and you can see that, and he's just confident. So he had that confidence last year, but coming in, it even feels different than last year. So I'm excited about that. But I wanted to ask y'all just real quick before we get into the plays, because I've heard it all day today. How did you feel about the play where he kind of gave himself up at the line? I know, Drew, you mentioned there were some open guys on that play, but let's say there wasn't open guys. He is scrambling because that's going to happen during the year sometimes. I personally think he needs to do a better job of sliding. That play didn't worry me too much. Last year there was one where he ended up I don't know if he's trying to hurdle
helicopter
somebody.
jumping.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one where I'm like, oh, geez, please don't do that again. But last night, it's preseason, so there's that. And I'm like, okay, this is preseason. Do not do that again. And a QB sneak, it's not as, but he's running pretty much full speed and then realized, oh, crap, I'm not going to make the end zone.
I think it's
but
just
didn't
one of
slide.
those. It's one of those, you're caught up in them. It's preseason. It's your first action back. He's got the nerves of the game.
I don't think you can be caught up in that moment when it's your first preseason game. It's the only point that I have. It's I get it.
We can
but
sit
dude,
here and we can sit here and say preseason, but he's in a stadium full of however many thousands of people
It
that were
was
there. It's just
It
it's his
mind you,
first
it
night.
looked like a
or
good crowd.
It's his first day of being the actual starter of the team. He's trying to punch it in himself for the first touchdown to get the place going. Like he even said his press conference, they were asked him about it. He's like, well, yeah, obviously I probably should have, not took a hit. And they asked him, did you think about diving at least? And, just putting his head down and just diving to the end zone. He's like, yeah, I did. He said, but, you just can't second
He kind of
guess
laughed
yourself.
that one off. But one thing
yeah.
that worries me too is he has said that before, that he needs to be better. So I'm like, okay, you need to do more than just say it, especially when we get into regular season. Because look, I have more confidence in Rudolph and Willis than I did last year, but I don't want to see them playing.
I don't know about Rudolph.
Rudolph
looked
looked a
kinda
little
bad.
rough. Rudolph looked
He
a little
did.
rough.
He looked
I
rough.
thought Willis, in terms of quarterbacks, I thought Willis made the best throw of the night by any quarterback, and that play didn't even count because we
Yeah, it
had
was
a
a
flag. I think it was a legal formation or something, but that still goes on tape. That was a great throw. But
He had a great
Levis
run.
had the best overall performance. Willis had the best throw, and I thought Rudolph was just, he was just
was
okay.
there.
I think he can be better than that. But
Me and
it's
Ken were
just-
talking about it while we were watching. We felt like he was kind of just letting balls go a little too late.
I'll say one thing about Levis. I don't mind.
Well, I was going to ask. You were there.
Yeah.
How did the crowd react to that?
Yeah, first off, two things, right? Before I mention Levis. One, that is the most packed a preseason game I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's
good.
good.
Okay, first off,
It seemed
was,
like it.
it was. I mean, I'm talking even up top. It was almost full, right? There were a lot of 49ers fans there, surprisingly. They're doing renovation out front. There's like no parking in front of the stadium, which was terrible. First off, they got to fix that. But anyway, that's the point. The stadium was packed.
It's going to be a problem for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem, and it's already a problem. But the stadium was packed. The energy was there, not just in the stands, but on the sideline. People, Mike Vrabel was a no fun zone, right? I hate to say it, but when you went to games and you watched the players on the sideline, they looked miserable sometimes. They're walking around. They just look like, oh yeah, just another day on the job, just here to play football. We got Tajay Spears dancing for the crowd. We've got him rapping and singing lyrics up on the screen. Bro. And then you've got people cutting jokes on the sideline. Actually you got coaches that are jumping up, getting excited when Chance Campbell spear dives the quarterback on a sack play. Like there was energy,
that was awesome.
Not just in the fans, but on the sideline. And that was really cool to see for the first time in a long, long time. But with Will Levis, back to the point, I don't like him taking hits. But if he is going to take a hit, I would rather him take a hit from the second string 49ers, third string 49ers linebacker than Roquan Smith.
That's a fair point.
Roquan Smith or Fred Warner or, somebody that's probably going to
Don't run it, Fred Warner.
Somebody that's probably going to decapitate him in a game. I'd rather him take a hit from one of those guys than some of those guys, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, for sure. Me and Drew, I was on Discord chat with Drew while we were watching the game, and you could just feel the stadium atmosphere. You could hear the crowd's reactions to things. Like obviously it wasn't like a full house, but it sounded really good in there. And just seeing the guys on the sidelines and stuff, it was really fun to watch.
All right, so now we got these plays pulled up here. This first one I'm going to go over was, I think, the very first actual defensive snap play that we had as a team. We mentioned coming into it, or at least I did in the last episode, of what I was looking forward to watching was the way that Denard Wilson called our defense, what our defense is going to look like, what kind of intensity are we going to play with, are we going to be flying around to the ball, right? And because you set the tone for the season right now. It starts right now. If you're not doing it in the preseason and you haven't done it through training camp, then it's going to be a very hard thing to learn.
Keep in mind, if you're watching or listening to this, that Denard's not going to throw the kitchen sink at these teams, especially until we have all of our starters out there. And we have, it's regular season. So you're going to see a little bit, which is kind of what we wanted. We just wanted to get a taste of what was going to happen. But I think there's plenty of good stuff that we can pull from these clips here.
Yeah, so in this first play, actually, we talked about it pre-show. We have offense coming out, 2 tight end set here. You'll see Kenneth Murray being right here in this linebacker position. You can already tell he's creeping up. He's going to be coming on a blitz on this play. Very first play of the game, we're sending Kenneth Murray on a blitz. Something that
aggressive. I don't know what is.
Something that Denard Wilson has preached constantly is that they just want him to play loose and he has the green light and they want him to go. It's a headhunt. So that's what we do. Very first play of the game. We're going to send Arden Key out here on the speed rush, taking the care of this tackle. And then Sebastian Joseph Day is going to take care of this little gap right here. And then Sweat's going to plug up the other hole. And Kenneth Murray, brother got on the highway. Brother had nothing in front of him. He was ready to put the foot on the gas. So we can see here in this video, untouched.
If that quarterback holds the ball for another second, he might be coming out the game with an injury.
Here's the behind the end zone look.
Yeah,
this is the definition of a blindside hit. He would have gotten.
And talk about the timing. Dude was on it. So and think about this.
That was coverage though.
That's like a 5-yard out, and he couldn't even get it to the receiver. Think about that. If they have 3rd and 10, you just got to think about stuff like that. And there's really not a ton to break down on that play. I think we executed it really well. We were good in coverage, and the quarterback almost got sacked on a 5-yard out. He didn't even come off his first read.
Speaking of that, let's go. I wanted to bring this up too. Let's look at their route concept, right? So we got dual tight end set. Two receivers out wide. If I'm not mistaken, when I was looking at this play earlier, all they're going to do is they're running double outs with both of these guys on
first and 10, right?
Yeah, this is both sides of the ball here are just going to be running double outs. Yeah, I feel like that route concept is horrible.
And we're in, looks like we're in a 1 high, And that's actually not that uncommon. And to come out right out of the gates, they're probably just looking to pick up 4 or 5 yards, get
It's
into
a
second and
yeah,
manageable, and
get your quarterback confident. That
for
kind of
sure
stuff.
you want to get into second and manageable, open up your playbook. But that's why I love the fact that Denard came out firing, because like, nah, we're not letting you get 3 or 4 easy yards. We're coming right at you, hit you in the mouth. So that was really fun to see. It's a
here's
nice
my
play
thing
to
too,
watch.
right there, is that works against zone coverage. But when you got press man coverage and Jarvis Brownlee is on him like peanut butter and jelly on a sandwich, there is not a breath of air. There is no room for Jesus between Jarvis Brownlee Jr. and that receiver. I mean, nothing's open. Like, the quarterback's got 2 seconds.
Which
and nothing's open.
I don't know how many more clips. Yeah, I don't know how many more clips have Jarvis in them, but shout out Jarvis, because I did think he looked pretty good.
That dude played a game too, bro. He might not have had the stat sheet, but that dude was locking people up, bro.
He's got to be CB4, and I know
we're
gonna talk
easily
about that later, but
easily. And also, let's talk about this.
Dude.
That I feel like that depth chart that we had last episode, that Times came out. I mean, that just went out of the water.
Oh, for sure. Well, with Farley getting hurt and all this.
No, not
stuff,
even that. I mean, we had Mason Kinsey listed as our punt returner. Dude didn't field 1 punt.
Oh no,
not one.
Just wait.
I think we have a punt returner, and his last name's going to be Jackson. I can't tell you which one, but his last name's going to be Jackson.
Just wait till our cutter keeps. This next, I got a great one for you. It'll be real good.
Okay, I bet.
I got you. I think I know who it might be. So this next play, we talked about it earlier. They come out, same exact set, right? Same exact formation. We talked about earlier. T Sweat here, looking for him to have a phenomenal season, of course. This game, of course, Jeffrey Simmons, isn't playing. So he does have Sebastian Joseph Day lined up beside him. But obviously, like we said earlier, he's sitting here talking to Kenneth right here, trying to figure out where he needs to go. And it just looks like he didn't even have his hand on the ground there, and they snapping the ball. So I just feel like that's just a mental lapse there.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a little bit of kind of communication, trying to figure out what we wanted to do if we were checking to something, but because you can see him talking to, looks like Murray, and then he was also, you'll see it from the end zone view, he was also talking to Harrell there on the left,
just left edge,
right side of the line,
depending on how you look at it. There's one thing we're talking about. Jeff made a career off doing this.
Yeah.
Right. In the future, you would love to see. We can watch it here in this next end zone view. No, in a perfect world, we want T Sweat to shed this block and just get this tackle for loss.
So he's talking to Harrell right there, and then he kind of second guesses himself. Now, if this is a designed cutback run by San Francisco, they really did. They
performed
this
great.
very well.
But I just think that's one of those I broke down there. I was like, that could have been a huge play for him.
Yeah.
I'm seeing people saying, oh, maybe, it's bad game where it was Sweat on the game. Bro was in for 12 snaps and he got doubled on 5 of them.
Yeah.
Right. So, a person like him being in the game and not having a guy like Jeff beside him, I mean, that's just asking for double teams. And I don't care who you are. I mean, you've seen it with Jeff. If Jeff didn't get doubled as much as he did, he would be in the top 2 best defensive tackles, but nobody wants to put him in there other than Titans fans.
Yep. It's okay. Yeah, not a ton on that one. I think maybe a little bit of late communication at the very least. If it wasn't miscommunication, it was just seemed a little late, and they kind of jumped us, but executed pretty well by the 49ers. I think that cleans up that stuff will get cleaned up pretty good, and I think with Jeff and T Sweat in there, we'll have some good run stuffing going on.
I mean, it's just a good design, right? Like you in that play right there, you're forcing somebody to make a play, right? They overload the left side. Everybody's got a man on a man. Like, you're forcing somebody to make a play, and it was just a good design run. So, props to them.
So just to preface this, while he's pulling this clip up too, I think we're going to be looking at the Kearis Jackson kickoff. And it was good to see, because I haven't really watched a ton of preseason. I've seen some clips on Twitter and stuff, but I really only actually intently watched our game. So to finally see some of that, and then of course, as you know, if you watched, ours ended up being some of the best returns we've seen out of anybody's teams on these kickoffs.
The record
so
right now.
Fun to watch here. Yep. So it is different, but so far I've liked it. I mean, you're seeing a lot of returns attempted. I don't think I've really seen much clip of people getting injured.
Nope.
Looking pretty good, looking like it's a fun new aspect they're putting in the game here. So we have Kearis Jackson. I believe that's Jaquan Jackson that's going to be running in front of him on this play.
Yeah, 19. That's Jaquan Jackson right here. So their number one goal, right? They're going to kick it off to this left side. They're going to have this side kind of pinch from this way, this side kind of pinch from this way. Right? Classic stuff here. I think initially our guy, Kyrus Jackson, I think they're teaching him to follow this guy right here and just react on what he's doing, because you'll see he's going to come and pick one of these guys up that flies through here.
Because you basically have a hat on a hat, as long as everybody can get their block.
As you can tell, he saw this hole right here.
Yeah.
And was trying to hit it, but this guy came free at the last second.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the only play for him right now is it either come to this hole or wrap all the way around here to the right, which is what he does. Or to the left, excuse me.
Which we ended up pushing to the right. We got a very good.
Which this is where I believe this should be a touchdown.
Yeah, because you're looking at potentially one guy probably. All we need to him here.
Here's the ball right here where my cursor is. It's blue hand. Mm-hmm. Here's the ball. I know this little play button's annoying, but I can't get it off. So here's the ball. All we need, because this guy's going to be blocked. We have blocked here. He's coming across. Mm-hmm. Number 15, Westbrook Akine, probably one of the best blockers, special team blockers, run blockers as a receiver we have on our team. All he's got to do, look at this. We're right here. Mm-hmm. He's past this guy. We just got to keep this guy locked up because he's beating this kicker. 10 out of 10 plays, he's beating this kicker.
So keep going though. Does he try to go to the left of Westbrook or to the?
Essentially,
this closes up a little bit there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But anyway, it makes us the spin move, right? Mm-hmm. The spin move happens.
2 of them.
We got kicker to beat and this guy.
Yeah.
I can't tell what number. That's Jaquan Jackson.
That's Jaquan.
Probably a little block in the back.
The spin slowed him down a little bit, but he also doesn't get as far as he does.
Probably should have been a little flag right here, blocking the back on Jaquan.
100%. He's got his whole left arm wrapped around his.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he spins out of that guy. And then Josh Wiley, man, flip your head around. Pick number 50 up.
See, that's the interesting thing about this. You have to block this really well because you got to think, the guys that are blocking for us, we think, it's easy to just say turn around and look at the next guy, but they're not moving at any kind of speed. They started 5 yards from the dudes, so it's almost like a run play. So I think, but here's the deal though. This is what I think we need to take from this. Number one, we saw an explosive play from a hopeful returner that will be on the team, and number two, look what that did for our offense. Like, can you talk about the confidence you start out with? You're starting almost in
the red zone. You're starting in the red zone.
Yeah. Oh, right, because there was a penalty.
There's a penalty on the 49ers coach
15-yard line
that put us in the red zone, man.
Well, we're at the 15-yard line.
And this is where Callahan came out and said he wished, Tyler Boyd didn't get a catch at all. I don't even think he got a target. He wanted to get him a catch, but due to us being so far progressed on our kickoff that we weren't expecting, he couldn't go to those plays. But
I'm not complaining that that's where we started field position wise, but I would like to have seen the starters get a chance to kind of go the length of the field.
So this is going to be our very first play as an offense, right? Mm-hmm. One thing I automatically like to see, which is what we kind of did when we had AJ on the team. Look how wide we're sending Treylon Burks down here.
Yep.
If this is a pass play, play action, whatever, you just got to beat this guy. This is an AJ Brown 2-step slant.
No, not even that. If you run a fade here, that's safety. Unless he starts creeping, he's not getting there if you place that ball right.
And Treylon's good enough to where he can win that one-on-one matchup 65, 70%
50-50, yeah, I'll take Treylon. Yeah. Yep. Especially on a guy that's clearly smaller than him.
And this is one play I wanted to bring up.
Pre-snap motion here.
I wonder if we have a secondary play built out of this formation, right? Because essentially what we're running here, we got this guy in the back, Tony Pollard being right here. Mm-hmm. We're sending Ridley in motion, and we're going to snap it right when he gets about right here in front of Levis's face. Almost like we're doing like a fake jet sweep and then a handoff to the left, right?
Yeah.
I want you to watch Calvin Ridley. Imagine if we give this ball to Calvin. Beat here. All he has, one block here. He's got to beat this one guy.
And he's outrunning him.
Maybe.
Sure.
If that block gets held, speed. That linebacker right there at the 11, he ends up getting caught and going to the left. But
didn't come at all. But I want to go back here. I want to see if this is one of the plays that I wanted to bring up and discuss. Which automatically, first play of the game, we're running motion. Love it.
Yep.
Love it. So I'm trying to see what exactly we send him in motion. Right. So here's one play. We'll see it better on the behind the view. This play right here. Shout out Tic Tac Titans. He went over this play specifically. Right here we have Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham are both doing a double down block on this guy right here, right?
Oh, just mauling.
And then Radence and Cushenberry are doing the same thing to this guy right here. And then we got one-on-one This backup tight end that we signed from Temple, undrafted free agent. We
He's
signed
kind
from
of a
Temple,
beast.
but he played pretty well. But
Is
he's
that
going to have
DMR they're talking about? Martin
gonna have-
Robinson?
yeah, he's going to have a single block right here. And Tyler Boyd's going to come up and single block this guy.
Mhm.
Initially, what this run design is, and what you can tell better when we go to the other view, is we're going to be doubling these two guys, and then one of them is supposed to release and come to the secondary to get a linebacker. That way, everybody's technically blocked. But this is one of the plays where JC kind of, doesn't react too fast because he's supposed to be here picking this guy up, which makes the hole, and he just has to make this linebacker miss. So you'll see it when we come back here to the backside of it. It just looked like he was trying to help Skoronski out a little, like a second or two later than he needed to.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Here's a behind the view version. Right, we'll send him in motion.
Because it's a great double team block. Like, I mean, look at how far they push.
Oh,
him.
for sure.
Like, this is a
Oh,
320-pound man that they push at least 5 to 6 yards to the right. But
I mean,
right
you
here,
just took him out of the play
right,
completely.
Like right
I'll
here,
tell
he
you
needs to be getting
exactly.
off.
Yeah, right here, he's giving his last
Mhm.
push, and he's hitting number 38. I'm assuming that is right in the middle,
Yeah,
or 50
right here.
something.
Yeah, right there.
That guy right there, like he's got to peel off that block right now, here in about a second, and then
Because
immediately
You
hit. that
just
guy.
got to make this. You got to make number 30 miss if you're Pollard. I mean,
Same thing.
Yeah,
with
because it looks
Cushenberry.
like the guy running behind number 30 might be trying to follow Calvin, but he's
Yeah.
late.
Same thing with Cushenberry and Radens too, though. It's a double.
Cushenberry gets off. Cushenberry's getting off right here, and he's going.
Yes,
Yep.
he gets up there and he blocks. If Latham hits that, but yeah, I mean,
Looks like
to
he
be
lost
fair,
his balance.
yeah, I
Too
don't
much
know.
weight going forward.
I mean, that dude
Tic
did
Tac
fall to
said
the
that
I
the
think
ground.
He
they
thought
filled this hole pretty well.
Yeah, they did.
Tic
They
Tac was
filled
saying
it
he
great.
thinks the game, this first drive, he thinks the game might have been going a little, faster than what JC thought it
Yeah.
would.
Maybe.
I mean, that dude
So,
also fell
that's
on the
just one-
ground, which is tough. Like they put him
Yeah, I
on the
mean,
ground.
you'll take that, right? I mean, 2-3 yards, something run first play, whatever.
Yeah.
So here's the second play. We're sending Chig, which we did a lot of motioning with Chig too, which was kind of interesting to me.
I just
But
like
this
a lot of
this is
motion,
a
period.
Calvin down here on the bottom, T Boyd,
Mhm.
Chig. This is Tajay right here.
Who do we have? We got somebody on the other side.
And Traylon is right here.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. This we could not. I don't think we could run this play with Derrick Henry on our team. I truly don't. So what we're doing here, we're sending Chig here in motion to be our lead blocker. He's gonna get, and this is where this is the only play I can actually blame on JC. It's this one. This should be a touchdown if JC does his job. So you'll see, we're sending him out being our lead blocker. We're pulling JC. So he's coming out, and we pull Skoronski. Skoronski's going to come up and block this linebacker right here.
Right.
Right. Chig is going to pick up this guy, this deep corner. JC has to pick this guy up, and that's it. You'll see, we're coming. Boom, right here. This is where,
He was kind of lost in the mix.
well, he's kind of lost in the
That
mix.
last defender.
You'll see, he's kind of lost in the mix, but JC just gets ahead of himself and just comes to help Skoronski on his outside. If he comes and undercuts him to his back and cracks this guy, he'll have a touchdown. Because he's going to have this hole right here to go through. And you'll see in the next view when we're behind the play, it might not look like that's very open, but it's pretty open when we're in the back view.
Mm-hmm. And
So it's
Tajay
not-
don't need much.
No, he don't at all. Neither is Pollard.
I mean,
So
if
here's this
Latham
other
hits
view.
that guy, I think he just got lost. I don't when you're playing in full motion, you got to think these guys are like, you're standing behind Skoronski. He's also like 6'5". He's massive too.
Yeah.
I think he just lost
That's
27
tough. That's
because
tough
he's a
to see.
smaller
And-
guy. I think he just got lost behind.
Yeah,
Well,
the
and
massive
27's
traffic.
also got more lateral and quickness and speed. So
He
if
does.
he sees JC going to who it would be
Outside.
27's right, then he's going to come through that other hole.
And,
Oh, yeah.
there's an argument
'Cause he's
people are making
dodging
that Tajay should have cut it
Yeah, I mean,
inside a little
you
bit.
know.
But
Not really, because
to
27 is
each their
there.
own.
Like 27 is there and takes away the
Yeah.
inside. But the thing is,
27 makes a
27
great
had
play.
great.
He really does.
Yeah, that's Jair Brown. He was a rookie last year. He's a great player for them. I mean, he makes a great undercut on the
This-
block and just gets there. Like that's just a good play.
This is one I was going to look at and run back here. This is his
yeah.
very first throw.
Look at that span.
Right. So what I want to point out here, right? We send. Is this too far back? Yeah, it is. Okay. So watch the left side. We send Chig over to the right. We have this linebacker following him. So we know it's man, right? Pretty much.
Looks like man. Yep.
So essentially what's
So
going
that
to
means
happen.
it's probably this linebacker
We're
here.
running
that's-
we're running basically like a version of some rub routes down here. Calvin's going to run almost kind of like a 5-yard deep slant right at this safety pretty much.
Yeah.
But he's going to do it in a way where he's trying to make a rub route right here for Tyler Boyd to come in the flat.
Right.
And then it's basically going to be the same thing with Traylon. He's going to run and kind of run in the face of this linebacker so that Tony can get out and run that flat that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one thing. If this was last year Will Levis, I don't think he makes this throw. If this is last year Will Levis, watch Calvin Ridley on the bottom of the screen down here. I think last year Will Levis tries to be a hero. Snaps the ball, which I think MPF definitely got a quick start there.
Definitely. He got maybe a little
This safety pulls. He is going to be wide. Not really. I mean, look at that.
Oh yeah, he's got an opening there.
I think Will makes this throw. I can't tell what down it is or third down right here.
Yeah,
So it's
I was
third
gonna
down.
say it's third down.
But Callahan has made the comments multiple times. He's trying to turn Will Levis, get his accuracy numbers up to around the 70%. And this is the kind of throws that do it. This is how Joe Burrow does it. The little short dink and dunks. Give what the defense gives you, right? And then you just make Tony Pollard, he catches this. You got one guy to beat right here. Make him miss.
Yep. And 2 for a touchdown.
That's a great spin move,
He's
too.
Will's basically throwing it at the stick. So if he makes that linebacker or whoever miss, then it's a first down.
Here's that end zone view.
Instead of thinking, oh, we got to go for points for 7 here. No, you still got room to get a first down if you can get something that's open. So he comes off of his. I mean, that was basically his first read.
That was his first
I think
only read really.
He didn't stare him down, but he waited until he got out there and then looked right at him and threw it.
Pretty sure this might be. I think there's supposed to be some kind of run because I can see if you look, Calvin Ridley's trying to signal something here.
I think he's mentioning like. I mean, he goes behind his back and says something, but I'm not sure.
I think there's supposed to be a run. So yeah, that's kind of just like a normal, inside zone look. This is another one. We're doing basically the same kind of scheme that we were just doing on that one play we were talking about JC. We're supposed to be doubling this guy right here with JC and Skoronski, but for some reason JC comes underneath instead of coming over the top.
Yeah, I think Calvin might have been realizing that the box looked pretty loaded. I mean, that look that they ended up giving was the receivers out wide just had one-on-one.
And so we'll get a better watch JC here. Like I don't know why he undercuts Skoronski.
Look at the box though. I mean, you got to block this perfectly for there to be a sliver here.
Yeah, like you're not getting yards on that. Like I hate to say it, you're just not.
You're not.
Yeah, there's 9 guys.
You
in the box.
potentially check that in a game, in a regular season game.
That's what Derrick Henry's seeing every play.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Look at the box again. Your safeties are all up.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be the Will Levis run here.
Okay, yeah. Let's look at this.
No, it's the fade. It's the fade. Never mind.
Which I like this. He's got one-on-one. The defender did a very good job of keeping him parallel and not letting Ridley get vertical.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's pass interference. A lot of people want to pass.
No, it's not. It's a good play defensively.
No, it's great. He basically pushed him out of the play. Like he takes him out of bounds.
You can't play much better defense than that. They're hand fighting. He pushes him. He's pushing him laterally. Like if like he's not the tallest guy, but if Ridley can get vertical there, that throws more on the money.
This is the Will Levis run.
Yeah, it is. So he's got time. I mean, they're covered pretty well. And this looks like it might be a touchdown, and then I think he realizes.
Watch, Traylon's going to run a very deep dig across this, coming basically on this out of bounce line. He's going to come across. I feel like if it's a regular in-season game, Will Levis might take a chance on this because it looks kind of open. Right.
I mean,
also, with that, I don't know. You got that linebacker that was sitting there.
I mean, Ridley off.
So
the
he
break
probably
there
came off
was
that read pretty
wide
quick.
open.
Go
Calvin
back.
Ridley off the
I'm
break
curious
is
what his
wide
first
open.
read was.
It was Traylon. Like if you look at Calvin Ridley right here, watch how open he gets as soon as he cuts.
So he looks at Traylon. He must come off Traylon pretty quick because he sees that safety or linebacker 27. He sees him just sitting there. So he's going to snap here. He looks to Traylon, not really there. He's looking to the middle, not really there. He's looking to his right, and by that time Ridley's already covered. That's why he ran. Yeah, Ridley was not a early read. So
yeah, he was not. If he was, he's wide open for a touchdown.
I don't like that hit. Like if you're not going to make it, just slide. You just got to slide.
Watch Burks come across your screen right here. Like there's a window that he could have fit that in there.
Yeah, in the back maybe.
It would have been a tough.
That's a tough throw.
Yeah, you also
You
have to think,
slide
man,
right
like,
there. I don't think he saw the guy coming from the left.
He probably didn't.
I think
He
he
probably
hit
thought
first
his
dives in the
offensive
end
lineman
zone.
was gonna get him something.
So this right after is a QB sneak, which I like because look at because he runs it right in this
The
gap.
hole, yeah, the hole's right there.
Dylan Reyes does a good job. He just flings himself out there. He just dives, and Levis just kind of hops on
Yeah,
top
just
of
let
him.
that one play through. You're gonna send motion just to see get him moving.
I
Yeah.
mean, NPF
They
Loki
ended
got
up
beat
pinching it
inside
pretty
there,
decently, but he got
like,
there.
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
NPF gets beat like in this little gap right here, but it's still it's just so hard to stop this on the 1 yard line. Like, I mean, you're diving forward.
Oh, for sure. You get a little bit of push right there. Will Levis is big enough to make that happen every
Yeah,
time.
it's just hard to stop that.
So what do we got next? I think we had maybe Jaquan Jackson.
Yep, Jaquan Jackson punt return, which was phenomenal.
And a lot of our stuff is going to be from the beginning, because this is what we kind of wanted to see this week.
This is one where it's just washing it back. It's so hard.
So you got the punt.
First thing I
Didn't
want
get
to
too
point
much
out.
pressure on him.
First thing I want to point out. Washington's right gunner. This is what I'm talking about special teams, bro. Watch this guy at the top. We push him out of bounds, and he has to run out of bounds for a solid 30 yards. He doesn't come back on the field. He just now reestablishes himself.
Yeah.
So here we go.
I mean, one thing too, shout out to their kicker, man. That's like a
Right.
70-yard bomb that he just punted all the way inside our 10. Like that is a
great
Ryan
return.
Stonehouse punt.
There was some parts there where it's blocked pretty well, but he's literally just making dudes miss for most of that return. Like, he's so shifty. I want to see him get more opportunities. Again,
Here's
this
the
is
thing.
rookie Jaquan Jackson here.
And those are going
So
to
he
be
got
tough.
a pretty good block
I
there
know
on
this is
the
going to
edge.
be it's going to be tough because of the plate symbol. I can't get it to
It's
disappear.
all right.
But
So,
so
he's-
I mean, this is where these guys are coming down full speed. They're out of the
Yeah.
play. I mean, with Jaquan's speed, with his speed,
yeah,
these guys
as long
are
as
out
he
of the
gets
play.
around this first guy right here on his left hip, which he does,
Which he
he's got a
does, right?
hole.
And this is where I have a problem. And it might just be easier said than done when they're in the moment, right?
Oh, for sure.
He's right here. We got this guy blocking him. This guy's going to pick up this guy, right?
Yeah, he's got a hole to run
So
through. and
we get to about right here. There's no way he doesn't see this guy. There's no way. At your peripheral vision, however you want to say that word, I feel like he's got to read it or feel his presence. And then even Brownlee right here, I mean, he's got to block this guy too.
I mean, you also got to think though, they're
But
playing.
he just
full
goes for the
live
guy that's
speed.
out of the play.
Like it's a lot
Well,
easier
no, I know.
Mhm.
But I'm
to
just,
like give like
that's what I just said.
criticism
It's a lot
and stuff
easier
like
said.
because it's way harder. Like because you got to think these guys are NFL athletes, right? So like some of these guys are running 4.4, 4.5 speed, like and they are moving,
Yeah.
right? So like you got a split second.
But
in your
overall,
brain
you can't
to, like,
complain too
make-
much about this. I mean,
Oh no, it was a great return.
that's all you can ask for on those plays. So
30
I love
it
it.
was like a
We got
30-yard return.
ourselves into some good field position.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather you catch the ball there and you get any yards. That's a W. Because I mean, that punter kicked it like 70 yards.
That's a good one.
Almost inside the 10-yard.
Is again,
That's a good one to look at right there.
like I said, take what the defense gives you, right?
First off, let's pause right here. Yeah, so you got you pretty much got everybody's running an out route. You got a little dig right here by is that Chig down here at the 40?
Right. Yep.
And then you got Pollard, who's your dump down underneath, who is the most open. Now he probably could have made a throw down here to this might be trailing
Yep.
down at the 43. But Pollard's wide open. I believe this was first down. So you're going to get yourself 5-6 yards right here. So I love this decision. Will Levis probably tries to force this a little bit last year.
So saying this is Joe Burrow esque.
And he's got a solid pocket, you know.
easy little dump down.
JC got beat a little bit right there, but he had plenty of time to get that throw off. I think Levis kind of felt that pressure on the backside.
Here's it from the
watch
end zone.
JC here.
I mean, that's like an 8-yard catch.
You're going to get a chip from Wiley, maybe? He almost jumped off sides. No, Wiley doesn't chip. JC kind of got beat around the edge there, but Levis had plenty of time to get that out to Pollard. That's a good read.
This
I like
next play is Calvin's catch.
Okay, gotcha. Perfect.
Yeah, this is
One thing I like to see, put him in motion. We're going to be using Calvin almost
Pre-snap
like the
motion's
Dolphins.
going to happen a lot. Yep.
Yeah, they're using him like Tyreek with the Dolphins. They're going to be
For
putting
sure.
him in motion almost every play. I feel
God,
like.
why would you not? It creates an advantage
He's
for
too
you. You
good.
can get moving.
Mm-hmm. He's too
So
good.
the one thing that is massive about this, right? He creeps up and to pressure him up, right?
So it's a
Oh, this
fake
is a
handoff.
run. This is a run.
Oh,
Never
that was
mind.
the run that
this is the one I said that they got blown.
we
up.
didn't block that well.
Well, it's not that
And
we didn't block. We didn't block it well. It's just that the linebacker made such a good. He jumps on it so fast to where Cushenberry didn't have time to get to him yet. Because Cushenberry is supposed to block this guy, and then Skarante's coming behind him to pick up whoever's next. So he jumps us immediately because we've already ran it. So he knows if he sees these guys pulling, he's jumping, right? So here's Cush. Oh, it's actually we're pulling.
Yeah, no, that's
That's
Cushion.
That's Radence.
We'll see it. We'll see it when we play.
That's Cushion Radence. That's Cushion Radence.
Play it through and then go to the line.
Radence is going to be the pull guy, and Cush is going to pick up this guy, but he just gets there so quick.
Yeah.
To where he just pushes that hole through, and we just couldn't get there.
Yeah,
I don't think Cushenberry knew he was
here.
coming down. I don't think Cushenberry knew he was hitting the hole because he overruns the guy. So I don't think that he expects him to be hitting the gap. Like if you watch closely, like literally Cushenberry outruns.
Yeah, Cushenberry pulled.
He overran.
Yeah,
it.
he got.
Like I mean,
got
it wouldn't have gone anywhere.
He overran it. He kind of beat himself there.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
think.
Here's the Calvin catch.
Anyway.
Sit him. Same formation, pretty much.
So was this third? I want to say this was like 3rd and 10.
Yeah, it was
or something
third
along
down
those
for
lines.
sure.
It was either a 2nd and long or a 3rd and long.
Guy like Calvin, he knows how to spot a zone. Just stops.
And he just sits in it.
And then he just
and then
shows
makes a play.
shows why we signed him, right?
That cutback is just wonderful.
Makes a great play. I want to see that back.
And this is what I like.
So
this is what I like.
This back.
This is what I like to see out of our running backs. Watch Tajay. Derek didn't do this. He's running. He's headhunting. Who am I hitting?
He tried to, yeah. He missed that first guy, but it didn't really matter. He already had him beat. So let's see this. I want to look at this next view a couple different times. Let's watch JC here. That dude almost jumps again.
Yeah, that's Yetur Gross-Matos, right?
Get the snap here.
I know he was a high draft pick.
This
so
is the
JC
one.
got confused a little bit, picks him up.
This is the closest. This is the play I was talking about earlier. This is the closest they get to sacking him because watch JC. He stutters, right?
He's looking
drops.
to his right first.
Yes, he's dropping and he's expecting this guy, I guess, to bull rush this or something.
I think he went through the different.
But he
kind of
double takes, and it forces him to be on his heels, and this guy speed rushes him.
Late. Yep.
He speed rushes him, gets inside of his chest, which pushes him backwards. I think if JC's on his toes and is balanced, he wins this rep. But since he double takes right there, he's off balance. He's going to push back. Good job by Levis stepping up, feeling that pressure.
Yep.
And then
that was a great pocket presence.
That's just insane. I mean, that's
and then you got Ridley, who I love it.
Thank God we have somebody wearing the number 0 that can actually play.
Yeah.
So this is just going to be a play. I mean, screen. We said it in the beginning. Trubisky, or not, I almost called him Trubisky. Oh my God, my fault. Mason Rudolph just did not look great.
Yeah. So
here's Treylon, bottom of your screen. Just running, just sit in it.
Bit, yeah.
And here is where I think years past of Treylon is different. I feel like Treylon would try to catch this, cut it inside up the field, and try to do too much.
And he's too big to do all that. Like, dude, you can run people over.
This is what AJ. This is what AJ used to do. He used to catch the ball and just get up, yak, right?
Yep.
Get them yards.
And look at that. It took the whole Niners team to bring him down.
It took 5. 5 defenders had to hit him on that play to take him down. You'll see it right here.
He just looks faster. Like I'll just say that much. Like coming out of his routes and like just
he just looks better. Yeah,
he just looks faster. Like
That's
he looks better, but he looks quick. Man.
1,
like he catches
2,
it and gets up.
3, 4, 5.
Like he catches it.
That was a good pocket to throw from. Good little route, got open. So I like what we saw, and that was pretty much all the clips we wanted to look at. But there's a lot of good things in those clips that we looked at. It just is, and it's nothing too special, but it's just simple things that we wanted to see. So really excited about that moving forward. I think Austin, you might want to, unless y'all have any other thoughts, Austin, you might want to take us into this next idea here that you had earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, first off, like I said, we just look faster. We just look better as a team. Treylon boom season incoming, it feels like. But this is where it gets fun, right? So this is our new segment. Really just doing this for the preseason. We all know that it's a 53-man roster, right? So it's unfortunate, not all these guys can be on the team. A lot of these guys are fighting for roster spots. But so essentially what this game is I'm going to call out a position and I'm going to say 2 people's names, right? 2 people that are fighting for that position to be the last person on the roster for that position, right? So for instance, the first one we're going to start off with is running back, right? So Pollard and Spears, obviously they're making the team, like they're on the roster, right? But
and we're probably only
you got to
3.
battle. You got to battle between because
Mhm.
like I said, you only got 3, maybe 4 running backs on the team. You got a battle between Hassan Haskins, Julius Chestnut, and then the undrafted Jabari Small, because we already cut Dylan Johnson. Obviously, all 3 of those guys, Haskins, Small, and Chestnut, do not make the team. Right? I think Haskins makes the team just because his ability on special teams. So I'm not going to say him, but
Mhm.
Julius Chestnut or Jabari Small, who makes the team?
Well, I think you have to look at 2 different things here, so we can do it both ways. The first thing is, I don't know that more than 3 running backs get on the team.
I think Haskins does just
Now, let's
because
say
his
they
special team
do.
ability. He's such a special team guy. Like
I think they do.
He's on the team.
Callahan's already mentioned keeping X amount of running backs for special teams, X amount of tight ends for special teams, X amount of receivers for special teams.
Maybe, but I like he said yesterday, keeping 4 running backs or keeping however many tight ends or however many safeties, it's going to depend on where their need is at. So, like, maybe they sacrifice a running back if they see that it's harder to cut both, harder to cut maybe between Jaquan and Kyrus Jackson. There's just it's just like, what do we need more of and who has shown the most? So I don't know. Do we want to look at this as if we're keeping 4?
I think we look at it as we're keeping it 4.
Running
Hassan
backs?
Haskins,
Okay,
Pollard, and Spears are locks. And this is between Chestnut
Yeah.
and Small as
Okay.
the RB4.
Okay, so just real quick, if we do keep 3, I think it's between Haskins and Chestnut. But if we're keeping 4, Haskins is in, and I think it's between Chestnut and Small. And right now, it seems as if that's not really a competition. Now, part of that is just because Jabari didn't really get much opportunity, but I also think he's a similar back to like a Pollard or a Spears. And Haskins or Chestnut would potentially be kind of that change up or special teams guy that you're looking for. So I don't see Jabari Small on our team right now. I mean, I like his talent. I just think he's too similar to what we already have. And I think they like Haskins and Chestnut for what they can be. Chestnut on the ground and Haskins in special teams. So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
Chestnut, easy. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think there's much debate on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
Jabari Small got a couple snaps.
I know it's
Granted,
unfortunate.
third team. He just the blocking was terrible.
Honestly,
on those plays, but-
I think we should have kept. I think we should have kept the other running back and cut him.
Oh, Dylan Johnson. Something was
Dylan Johnson?
off.
Yeah, something
with
must have
him.
happened weird because
Something
we
was
let him go
off.
early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something was off in that situation because he came from Washington. He had a good year last year.
He dealt with
but-
some serious injuries ish toward the end of last year that he was pushing through. So maybe
And his
that was
whole
part of
career.
it, like health
his
wise.
whole
But
career. He was injury.
yeah, it was kind of weird.
but
So
like
that
running
one
backs,
seemed like it was fairly easy.
running backs, that was a little bit of a gimme, right? I mean, I kind of was leaning Chestnut as
Mhm.
well. And Jabari Small went to the University of Tennessee, and I got to see him the last 3 years he was there. I just think Chestnut is better on the ground, and so he's on the team for me.
But
Now-
just for devil's advocate here, because I think there's a solid possibility we keep 3. Do you take Haskins or Chestnut? Me
Haskins,
personally, I
all
think we
day.
keep Chestnut.
Absolutely,
Haskins, no
Haskins
question.
all
No,
day.
I think
Haskins
we
is
keep-
too good on special teams.
Well, so
to
it
not have him
depends.
out there. If
Maybe,
we're talking
but
strictly
running
running back,
wise, if we deal
strictly
well,
running
I guess
back,
with
Chestnut.
an injury, depending on
Strictly
how serious
running
it
back,
would be, you would pull up both of
Chestnut.
them anyway. So
Haskins
I could
brings
see that.
too much.
I could see that.
Haskins brings too much
He
to the
is better
table
on special
on the
teams
special
for
teams.
sure.
Because you got to think here, Chestnut and Haskins,
His
They're not getting
value
the
is
ball.
higher.
yeah, they're
Mhm.
not getting the ball out the backfield unless somebody gets hurt, right? So that third running
could
back,
see
if
that.
you only have
Mhm.
3, he's a special teams guy.
But
now,
if somebody gets hurt, you might have Chestnut and Haskins anyway.
oh, absolutely,
so-
yeah. If somebody gets hurt, you definitely pull up Chestnut for sure. Now to the interesting, to the fun ones here. So wide receivers, 53-man roster. I'm gonna say that we get 7 on the active roster, right? You get 7 wide receivers. That's just a random number. It could be 8. I don't know. Don't sue me, Kel. I'm gonna say that you only get 7.
No. I mean, I
You only
think
get
you're
7
right.
receivers.
I think you're right.
Yeah, you only get 7. And
What's
now-
hard? What's hard is 5 or a lock.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You got 5 locks. You've
For
got
us.
Ridley, Hopkins, Boyd, Burks, and Nick Westbrook-Akine, number 15. I almost didn't say his name, but I will
Mhm.
say his name for the sake of the video. Nick Westbrook-Akine
Put
as
some
your
respect
5th
on
lock.
his name, bro. Come on now.
Right? So now I'm going to give you a little bit more options here just because I think that this position battle has way more than just 2 players, right? Because I'll list you the players' names right now,
Mhm.
and you can just give me the
It's
2
like
other
4,
options.
really.
You can give me the two people that you think make the roster. You've got Kyle Phillips, Colton Dowell, Mason Kinsey, Sam Schnee, Trayshawn Harrison, Kyrus Jackson, and Jaquan Jackson, and Bryce Oliver. All
Yeah,
6
I
of
don't
those
think
guys.
Dowell is I don't think there's much reason to look at Dowell. He was good on special teams last year, but just knowing that he hasn't had to do anything yet because of his injury, I just don't think you can put him in that list. And I don't think we've seen enough from guys like Schnee and Oliver. Now Oliver I think it was Oliver that made that catch from Malik.
Oliver
Of course,
made
that
some
got called
plays.
back, but that is on film.
Yep.
Some good plays. However, right now it depends on how many we're keeping. If we're keeping 7,
Only 2.
I
You
think
only get 2.
man.
It's hard. It's tough. This
I
is
think
the
the way
hard
that
part.
okay, just to this point in camp and what we saw in the game last week, I think one of your locks for me is probably Kearis Jackson right now, just based on what he did the other day, and being able to flip the field like he did. Plus, I think he has some value in being able to provide a little bit of offense on the field too. The second one is hard, because it comes down to what you need. So, like, do you want this person more for special teams, or do you want this person more for receiving? If it's for receiving, I don't want to give up on Kyle Phillips yet because I think he's a very good route runner. And I don't think he has a problem with his hands when he's at receiver. I don't want to see him catching punts.
He's
So
awful.
if it's in that sense, if you're going the receiver route, I say you probably go Phillips and then maybe Kinsey. But if you're going special teams, I think you have to go Jaquan Jackson. I mean, we saw what he can do. He's going to be explosive, I think. So it's a tough call. I think it comes down to what we need.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm trying to think of what I saw from last game. Obviously, like we just saw earlier, both Jacksons had some great,
Playmakers.
kick returns, punt returns, but didn't really see much from them in the receiving game.
So that's where it's like, do we keep both if they're doing kind of the same?
This is
thing?
where I'm going off of
doubt
what
it.
I saw when the 2s and the 3s were in the game. Mason Kinsey and Kyle Phillips were out there almost every play.
Mhm.
And, you look at it, we looked at the unofficial depth chart, last week. Both of those Jacksons were pretty low on the wide receiver depth chart to begin with.
They're going to make the team based off of special teams. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, or maybe just one of them.
Yeah, I think that's
one of
probably
them
I
for
mean, me
sure.
personally, I really, really want Jaquan Jackson on the team.
Yeah,
bad.
I feel that.
I feel like
Yeah.
he obviously is a great returner, but I feel like he can also just be that guy that comes in that's like a receiver for like a depth receiver. Somebody
Khalif
gets
Raymond.
hurt. Somebody gets hurt in the slot, whatever. He can jump in, fill that role. He's quick. He's agile. He can make plays. I hope we keep him. But as of right now, I would actually much rather. I'm gonna change it. I love the boy. I've talked about him before. He's if I wanted a guy on my team that I know is going to work, it's Mason Kinsey.
Mhm.
But I just feel like there's no amount of work that he's doing that's bringing productivity. And
Yeah.
so if for me, I'm gonna switch up. I'm gonna go Kyle Phillips and Jaquan Jackson.
I like it, and I really think it might be a coin toss thing with Jaquan and Kearis.
It's going to be
really
who
kinda
plays,
just
who comes to play.
who plays
This is
better,
why-
and right now they've played pretty consistently both. So
This is why it's so
especially
hard.
wise.
Look, this is why being a GM and being a head coach is so hard, because at the end of the day, neither
Sucks
one
this
of
time
these
of year.
guys have really propelled themselves to be a lot, right? And this is the hard part, is none of them have really shown anything. Kearis Jackson had a great kick return, right? But all through training camp, all through like the off season and stuff like that, like he hasn't done anything to propel himself into being a roster lock. And that is the hardest part, is none of them have done anything to make themselves a lock. And you just have to cut you just have to cut down to 2 people in a room where there's like 5 or 6 guys that are fighting for this last roster spot. Me personally, and I like Kyle Phillips. I really do. I think the injuries are a concern, and they always have been since he got into the league. I think Kearis Jackson's a lock on the team.
I agree.
I think Kearis Jackson at kick returner is, I mean, we
Right
saw
now,
it.
I think so.
We saw it. He's valuable. He's fast. He's good. He brings that speed that we've missed on this team for a long time. I think Jaquan Jackson, being our 6th-round pick from this last year, he makes the roster just because he's a rookie. I'm going with a younger, more athletic guy that has potential to grow than somebody that's been in the league for 3 years that has been injury prone every year. I think both Jacksons.
And
make
is that
it, and I
in
think
the
everyone else is
assumption-
cut.
Is that in the assumption that Phillips and
Kinsey don't make it.
Kinsey are practice squad?
Yep, 100%. 100%. I think
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm
think- I
fine
think,
with that. I mean, I like what Phillips brings receiver wise, route running, slot, third down guy. Levis trusts him. He made some big plays last year, but the injury is a concern, number one. And number two, he's not going to do anything for you, at least from what we've seen on special teams. So right now, his value isn't higher because you got to think we have 5 locks that we know are for sure receivers that can run the routes and catch balls, you know?
Yep.
So I don't see somebody that's more receiver getting on the team over somebody who can be explosive like Here's Jackson and Jaquan Jackson. So I think that's what it comes down to.
And then this is the best one. This is the best one for last. I know we're getting here up on time a little bit, so I won't do the other one. But I feel like this is the most pressing one and the one that probably seems like the most like realistic outside of wide receiver. Because I was gonna do linebackers, but we'll skip that. We're going to corners. All right, we got a lot of corners, and we had a lot of corners that played on Saturday. And I'll give you 3 right here that you got to pick between who's making the roster, because I'll say our locks, like I have the last 2 positions. Our locks are Cheeto, Sneed, and McCreary, and Jarvis Brownlee, dog, right? And then I'm going to slide Molden in there. But anyway, so these are our corners, right? You got 3. You only get to keep one. Caleb Farley, Trey Avery, and Gabe Jeudy-Lally. You only get to keep one. Who's making the roster?
Or Eric Garror.
Or Eric Garror.
Yeah, Garror maybe.
Okay,
I
so
would have to.
With that,
I would
we'll
have to
pick
go
2.
back and watch.
You get 2. You get 2 if we add in
Lally.
Eric Garror.
Okay.
If you add in Eric Garror, so it's
I
Garror,
can't-
Avery, Lally, and Caleb Farley. 2 stay, 2 go. Who do you pick?
I think it would depend on. Oh man, I hate not being able to pick Farley. Like I think if he would have stayed healthy and been able to play last week, we might have a better idea of like maybe we could pick him. He just can't stay on the field. Like even if it's a small injury, and I hate it for the guy. I think he's a good guy and had potential, but it's just not working out. So for me, I think Trey Avery, as much as maybe he hasn't played great, I think you got to use him because he knows he's kind of that veteran, been there before. He wouldn't be a top 4 guy, obviously, like we just said. He's, you're thinking about depth here.
Yep.
So I think for me, Avery's probably the 5th one. And then I think it's up for grabs between Garror and Jeudy-Lally. I haven't seen a ton from Jeudy-Lally, and Garror may have the edge just because of his experience. But that's kind of where I'm at right now.
For me, I'm probably gonna go.
I'm glad that we're mulling over depth though, and not like, oh crap, who's gonna start?
Yeah.
Farley is out of here.
Farley's gone. Okay.
Waste of a draft pick. I love him, but
Yeah.
I wanted him to succeed, but honestly, waste of a draft
It
pick.
sucks, but it is. It
Bro,
sucks
and a
what
broken
it is.
back coming in, hasn't played at all.
Yeah.
Can't even stay on the field for a week of practice when he's healthy. So get him
Wish
out
the
of
best
here.
for him. It just hasn't worked.
Go to Indy or somewhere and sit on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first round, waste of a first round. I mean, Simmons or not Simmons, Isaiah Wilson. Don't even get me started.
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
So he's gone.
We'll be in the snake pit if we do.
Honestly, I'll give you my 2 who I don't want to make it, and the other 2 that do make it. Congrats! I don't even care. I want Caleb Farley gone, and there's no way Trey Avery makes his team. This dude is horrible.
I like it. I like it, Drew. I like it.
Hey, it's
bro,
controversial. I get it.
Dog, he is horrible. I mean, we had him third. We had him pinned that one game in the this last preseason game. We had him pinned, and we went for it on 4th down in the red zone. Didn't get it.
He got beat pretty good on
We
that play.
got him pinned down 3rd down and like 3rd down and 10, 3rd and 15, something like that. Bro got beat on just a normal slant route for a first
6
down
yard
for like
slant.
25, 30 yards.
They weren't even going for the first down.
Like-
They were just going to get out of the basically end zone to just punt the ball.
I knew it was bad whenever he came in for Christian Fulton last year when he got hurt, and literally the first next 8 consecutive plays they threw right at him. And I mean, he had one of the highest completion rate percentages on the cornerbacks in the league. Like he can't. I'm sorry, he can't play.
It's been rough, but think about this. This is the one thing I want to take into account. He had to play way more than he should have. He is a deep roster corner depth piece that has experience. That's
he played
why I
college
would say
ball
it.
and got drafted to go to the NFL. He should know how to play corner.
Okay, yeah, but you could say that. I mean, look, there we got some dog receivers in the league. Like these depth corner pieces aren't
I just
supposed
think
to do.
I just think the
what you're
argument of
wanting
he
them to do.
played more than was expected was crazy. Like, does he think he's going to get drafted, just come in and sit the bench all of his career? Like, he wants to play, he just can't
It's early.
play.
It's early, so
Yeah.
we can come back to this
He
after the
wants-
next 2 games because he's going
Yes.
to play a lot.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Early.
he does.
Brother, he played a whole season almost last year and just got
He
tore
played way
up.
more
He
than he
got
should
torched.
have. He's playing against starters.
yeah, But like,
the dude
that's
is
the
a
thing, though.
depth piece. He's
If you
not going to
can't-
start this year.
But that's the problem, though. If you're a depth piece, you still got to be able to cover somebody. Like, you can't just be a
Exactly,
depth
bro.
piece
Okay.
and not be
Hey,
able to
look,
guard
look.
anybody.
I'm not disagreeing. But I need to hear
He
who
couldn't
makes
cover
it
a
above
cough if he
him.
tried, dog.
Listen,
I'll tell
who
you-
makes it above him?
I'll tell you. Do you want to hear my take? Do you think who I think makes it?
I'm not mad if it's Judy Lolly. We just haven't seen enough of him.
I think
Yeah.
Judy Lolly makes it. Okay, and
Me
here's
too.
my reason why. They're both
Okay.
unrestricted guys, right? Or not unrestricted. They're both undrafted guys, right? So they're not big money casualties anyway. Lolly's younger.
Yeah,
Lolly's more physical. He's taller. Like, there's more potential of
ceiling's
growth
probably
there,
higher. That's true.
right? And also, he's great on special teams. And I think Eric Garror makes the team. And the only reason, this is my only reason, is because he plays nickel. I think if Trey Avery played nickel and could slide down, I think maybe. But Eric Garror being able to play the nickel is the only reason that I think he makes the team, just in case something happens to McCreary.
I respect that.
And
I
that's
hear
the
it.
only reason.
It's going to
Not
be a
because he's
battle that
better.
we probably need to come back to.
Yeah, not because he's better
Yeah,
than Trey
I
Avery
mean,
in the slightest. I think they're both not great, but it's the position value. It's the only reason.
Yeah, in fact, I'm putting it in next week when we do our keeper cut. Obviously, we need to hit linebacker because we're not going to hit that tonight. We need to do corner
Mhm.
again. We probably need to do it each week because
Yep.
it's going to be interesting. They're going to play a lot, and we're going to need the guys that we're somewhat confident in. You know, if Snead or Cheeto or whoever gets hurt or something like
Yep.
that. So
We
gotta
will
have
come back to
decent
this.
depth guys to rotate in.
We will
Yeah,
come
for
back to
sure.
this topic next week and we will hit the corners again. But I think this is a great segue into our next and last segment, which is rolling into the
Mhm.
practice this upcoming week against the Seahawks.
But I'll just say, like, and this doesn't have to be, long or super expanded, but we do just want to just mention, yes, we have joint practice this week coming up with Seattle, which number one concern, I think, for us right now, as far as concerns go, Seattle looks like they want to fight anybody and everybody right now. So
Yeah, they do.
I'm just like, I don't want a whole nother issue. Like, I'm fine. I know there's going to be some scuffles. I just don't want it to be a big deal. I don't want people to get injured. This needs to be quality reps for not only the players but also the coaches, because this is where the starters are going to get the biggest reps of the offseason or the preseason in, because they're not going to play very
Mhm.
much coming up the next two games.
Mm-mm.
This needs to be very productive practice, and that's what I'm looking for. Stay
That's-
healthy, stay out of the brawls, and really try to crack down on what we're doing defensively and offensively. Get everything seamless,
And this is
communication.
exactly why when we come back next week to the keeper cut, it's going to be even more crucial because
Mhm.
Coach Callahan
For sure.
has come out and said that the starters are going to get so many first team reps in this joint practice, which is really good. That Levis is going to get to go against Devin Witherspoon, Deron Bland, like a really good 1-2 punch in that Seattle secondary. Same thing for Ridley.
really good and in a
Ertz.
controlled environment where we know
Yes.
he's not going to get hit.
Yes, exactly. It'll be really
So
good.
we need these reps. He needs
So
these reps. Yeah.
He basically came out and said the starters after this joint practice are not playing in the preseason game. So that makes it to where this keeper cut's going to be even better because we're going to get to see these guys a lot longer than we did last time. Because, you think about the starters played the first quarter and a half, roughly. I know McCreary played basically almost the first 2 quarters. He was in the second.
I mean,
quarter
Will
too,
Levis basically
so-
played the whole. I think they scored the second touchdown at the beginning of the second quarter. Now that's just because of the way the quarter played out.
Yep.
But 2 drives.
But still,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the defense, we're gonna get to see these guys a lot more. So there's gonna be a lot more tape and a lot more
Mhm.
to talk about and to watch with some of these guys like Judy Lolly that we haven't seen a ton about. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. Like you were saying, Callahan's come out and said it depends on how these joint practices go. If the first team have terrible practice days, and they're going to probably play the same amount they did as in last week's game.
Yeah.
If they come out and they play really well, then honestly, I don't want to see any of them have pads on when we go on the sideline.
Yeah.
These joint practices, there's a reason why you only get so many practices of those during the season, because they're that important, right? You're not going up against your ones where you're scared to hit or whatever. You're going up against another team. There's that more competitive aspect. You want to go
Yep.
beat them. You want to go hit them in the mouth. You want to score on them every play. Jeff is sitting there. If Jeff can sit there and get our own team riled up and fighting, I'm very scared to see what's going to happen with the Seahawks.
He needs
you
to
know,
keep it.
I don't know.
contained, dude.
I can't remember if you just mentioned Austin or not, but I mean, they had 6 or 7 fights in their own training camp a couple weeks ago. So
in the same day,
Imagine, and we
6
all know
fights.
tempers flare in the same day. Tempers flare when you go against another team with different uniforms. And
Mhm.
here's the thing: this is what we need to do, and this is kind of my wrap up thought here. when we're going into joint practice, we need to make this about us. Like, yes, it's going to be great that we're going against another team, but this is about us getting better, not about beating them, because we're not playing them in the regular season right now, okay? This is about our team getting better with competitive reps against a different look than we're normally going to see at practice. So don't make it about who's better right now, because it doesn't matter right now. This game on Saturday does not matter for our outcome in the season. It matters for people trying to get a job. So we just need to keep our minds focused, and I hope Jeff kind of stays out of that rough mix this week. I'm not mad if he gets in a little scuffle, but just don't start nothing serious. We just
I,
get
I really
everybody
just
healthy.
I'm more
Mhm.
excited to watch our offense more than anything.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel that.
Like I feel like we're so used to, as Titans fans, having a semi, pretty good defense for the
Yeah.
most part. I mean, they were, like Kel said earlier in the episode, they kept us in games most of the time when our offense just literally couldn't even put up a field goal.
Yeah.
And now we have players on both sides. I imagine, obviously, like we said earlier, earlier in the episode as well, playbook wise, preseason game, we weren't throwing everything out there. We weren't, trying stuff. I imagine this week, we're going up against a team that doesn't know a single ounce of our playbook, right? In our practices, our the first couple of padded practices, our defense had the whole offensive script that they were going to run for the plays, and then the last couple of practices before leading into the preseason game, they didn't. And what happened on the days that they didn't have it? The offense made plays. That's where we got, the deep ball to Traylon, the Calvin Ridley catch on the sidelines, the touchdowns, all this kind of stuff. So I'm excited to see them go up against another team's number one defense that, doesn't know our plays and what we can do. And also, a side note, we're getting Quandre Diggs back this week on a full practice schedule. We're getting Jamal Adams back on a full practice schedule, going up against a former team. I guarantee you they're going to be going hard. So
Tempers are going to be flared.
I want to see their reactions facing their old team, hopefully making some plays. But most importantly, I think the one thing that we need to look forward towards these practices is I hope we come out of them clean. I hope we don't come out with any injuries or anything like that. Give these guys time. Like Cedric Gray had a shoulder, so that's why he didn't play. I think honestly you need to give him. I think you just sit him the whole joint practice and just let him play the game. That's my opinion. Guys like Jeff Snead already confirmed they're not going to play a single snap of preseason. So these practices for them are huge. Honestly, I'll probably say the same thing about Diggs and Jamal. I don't think they touch a single snap of preseason.
Nope, definitely.
Maybe if they do, maybe a drive, maybe. So I'm just excited to see our offense hopefully come out unscathed, no injuries, all that kind of stuff.
And to wrap it up real quick too. Wrap it up real quick too. Just a quick round of applause. Shout out Rand Carthon or Callahan, whoever is the one that scheduled this joint practice. They could not have picked a better team to go up against, right? Because when you think about it, we got a new look secondary, right? Denard Wilson's trying to man his thing. The Seahawks probably got the best wide receiver trio in the entire league with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Those are great receivers to get good reps from for Snead. I know Cheeto's not there, but Jarvis Brownlee and Roger McCreary and some of these guys like Judy Lolly and Trey Avery, they are getting good reps against very good quality receivers. And then on the flip side of that, our offense and our receivers going up against Devin Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen, right? J.C. Latham's going to have his hands full with Leonard Williams, right? These are good reps against good quality players at positions that need these good reps. Props to them for
much needed.
You could not have picked a better team to do a joint practice with. I mean, they basically cover everything that we want to see. So
I'm pretty sure Callie and them said they had this scheduled either the first week or second week after he got hired.
Yeah, Callahan was very high on it, which they need to be. So good episode, exciting things ahead. I think we're going to be looking at hopefully recording another one here in the next few days just to kind of preview the next preseason game. Maybe we'll have some more information regarding all of these good reps that we're going to be getting this week, and hopefully giving updates that don't have anything to do with injury on both sides. You don't want to see injuries on especially our team, but you don't want to see it for the Seahawks either. So looking forward to that. Again, if you're listening, if you're watching, keep doing so. Keep sharing it. Like, subscribe, leave comments. I think we have TikToks and YouTube Shorts going up, all that stuff. So just keep sharing it and tell us if you want to hear anything different. If you want us to cover your team, if you want us to cover something a little bit different with the Titans, whatever the case is, we want this to be a fan experience. We're just fans, lifelong friends and fans. So if there's any suggestion you have, we're open to it. Want to appeal to you guys, and I think Drew's got an email as well that's linked in the YouTube. So just hit us up, keep liking everything, and always tighten up.